Enchantress is one of those characters you wouldn't think would be in the Suicide Squad a lot, but hey, that's how it happens most of the time. Now imagine minding your own business, but terror strikes in a castle. Pretty much make you stumble upon a hidden chamber, because hidden chambers is how all these magical people always gotta be magical, right? They talking about all the Destiny mumbo jumbo, saying these two words, the Enchantress, making her into the Enchantress with amazing magical witchy type of abilities, and wanted to help others. Magical characters like Enchantress remind me of Shazam, because saying a simple word and changing your look completely. Don't you see the similarities on how she says the word Enchantress and she gets this wizarding hat in these older comics, you know? Makes sense, right? Before I even get anything started, I bet you didn't know the Enchantress, thanks to her magic and everything, got a one-on-one with Superman himself. Blasting, does well, even with heat vision. And a matter of fact, even makes him kind of sleepy in this particular occasion. But that's Enchantress for you. Let's get it. You might have not known that DC has its own Enchantress. I got a Marvel Enchantress video, now DC Enchantress. She's one of those magic, witchy type characters, two beings that possess one body type of character. And just like other magic beings I've covered on the channel, she's extremely powerful, no matter which continuity we're talking about. But how strong are we talking precisely? She's one of those characters that has an alter ego known as Moone. Kind of reminds me of Hulk, of how two different beings inhabit the same vessel. They even change eye colors when they transform. Imagine being at a surprise party, but then come in contact with supernatural forces. She ended up trying to escape the chamber she found herself in. There was an ancient chamber hidden in the castle. She met this being talking about this is her destiny that led her here. And that's when, speaking the words, the Enchantress, June found herself transformed into a being possessed of extraordinary mystical power as the Enchantress. She defeated those forces there and started defending mankind with her magical abilities. When they talk about her abilities, they even say it straight out of their mouths that she doesn't rely on hand-to-hand or physical. She prefers to rely on her vast array of mystical powers, which makes sense for mystical people. Stuff like flight, the ability to pass unharmed through walls, other solid objects, the power to transform and manipulate inanimate objects, and the ability to change her own appearance. But let's get more into Enchantress. It's interesting that two beings like this inhabit the same entity. In her older comics, they still imply she has some sort of superhuman speed, despite that not being what she specializes in, and some physicals. Did I mention she can walk through walls too? Just like I said in all my other magical videos, it makes sense that she's one of the most versatile characters of all time. If she feel like it, she'll just pick you up and throw you. She can use blast to like bury you, or can just locate you, or straight up blast the head off of an evil pumpkin monster with blast power. You're going to see a lot of occasions of her blasting demons or mythological creatures you might see in Greek lore like Cerberus, or she can simply make Superman's cape fight himself, animating inanimate object. Characters like Deadman that like to possess people, just force him out of beings' bodies if she has to. She scuffled with powerhouses like Green Lantern Kyle Rayner to show her level of power. Blowing up boats with her blast power is light work. In newer stuff, she has some pretty flashy showings of blast power. When it comes to other magical beings like Zatanna, her magic is compared to hers. Heck, she's even cocky enough to say her hexing is better than even Zatanna's. Zatanna I have videos about on the channel. Another powerful magic user. Someone that Enchantress should be around the range of when it comes to other magic users. Stated again about her being stronger than Zatanna. So yeah, whether you want to believe this literally being stronger than Zatanna, regardless of how you look at it, she's comparable. Magic users might not be physically strong as Superman, but when it comes to blast power and other aspects, they can make up for whatever they lack against Superman with their blast and raw power like that. I mean, you already remember what happened in my Zatanna video of her taking on Lobo and stuff like that. Somebody that's a serious threat for Superman, so it lets you know these magic users are no joke. And Enchantress magic being compared to Zatanna's is ridiculous in newer-ish type of comics. I don't believe heat vision itself is weak to magic itself, but her blast can still stalemate Superman's heat vision. I know Superman doesn't have the greatest resistance to magic, but what about his heat vision? You know, that still shows her raw power to be able to withstand these heat vision blasts. They'd be piercing top tiers. I know Superman doesn't have much resistance to magic, but yeah, she did do this to him, making him sleepy for a bit. She can just straight up halt beings like Killer Croc in a cube like this. And witchy people usually have weaker durability, but she can make shields to protect herself if she has to. As Enchantress can just blast massive holes in the ground with just raw blunt power, one could say, or just blast your head off. Healing stuff comes in handy too. Being a planet buster in DC is literally no big deal, but it's confirmed that she's capable of destroying the world, just like the other powerhouses like Superman, Zatanna. You know, all the powerhouses can destroy planets. In DC, that's nothing new under the sun. This could be part of the fact that Zod doesn't have the best resistance to magic, but it's implied she could have took out Zod too. There's implications she can make her own energy construct projection if needed be. She cored out a section of space-time in order to rescue beings. Of course, it would make sense if she had some kind of magical defense. I mean, it makes sense when she doesn't get one-shotted by supernatural things. She even says it's going to take a lot more than you to take her down. And there's occasions where it shows she has telekinesis. It makes sense. Magic people always have this. And if she doesn't like your smell, she will blast you with her energy blast power. She can do crystal ball type stuff to kind of spy on you if she feels like it, like other witches can do. She has some sort of cosmic awareness to be able to detect danger, or she can sense when something's disturbing. Other magical beings like the daughter of Warlock, when it comes to magical battle, straight up overpowering characters like this, to really give you an idea when it comes to magical people. It's statements like this to let you know what Enchantress is competing against. And the panels pretty much prove her worth. Sleep, sleep. She can blast and destroy the work of ages. Just to let you know what went down, she destroyed thousands of his power artifacts doing something like this. She has preservation type spells that keep somebody alive. The only caveat is that if she leaves his side or even sleeps, even for a minute, the spell will fade and he along with it. She did this for 72 hours, but it does take its toll. Even using smaller spells to keep herself awake. Other magical beings that have dangerous wards that are dangerous, or even dangerous shields, she's not threatened from stuff like this, thanks to her own protections, one could say. Even saying, if your sorcery threatens me, the day she would give up sorcery. But of course, these hellhounds get blasted away, raw blast power. Her versatility is crazy. When it comes to magical beings' knowledge is power, like when she knows she's outmatched, for example, she will do stuff to be the sneakiest, like being a diversion, like using diversions to get the drop on you and stuff. What did I tell you about knowledge is power? This right here lets you know how important knowledge is when it comes to magical stuff. Even giving you different situations that you would need to counter as a magic person. Even if something is immune to most magic, you got to be prepared for stuff like this. After doing the pop quiz of that specific scenario, she simply tells her what she should have done in a scenario when something is immune to most magic, telling alternatives on how she would counter this said scenario. She said you can't manipulate what you don't understand. That's why you got to read these books. Because right here, she pretty much explains how she can make herself weapons out of stuff that's not necessarily magic, but using her magic to like use her environment as weapons or to use weaknesses in the environment of the opponent might have, even if that person is like resistant to magic and stuff. So yeah, she's tactical in the heat of combat against other beings that use magic like her. She's broken barriers before. I already mentioned how she has detection spells, people that reek of magical energy she knows, and can actually low-key figure out your source of power, honestly. Like beings that have cloaks that are literal pocket dimensions. It's just crazy, right? Magic stuff. You get it? You know how people be putting candles and stuff on the ground, making your own little mystical circle that keeps everything out? She can simply empty the air out of this circle so she doesn't have to necessarily go in your circle. Because this circle of protection, they let nothing in, but they let just about anything out. So she found a loophole. Even when there are virus-type spells on beings to make you do their bidding, stated here and talked about how this magical infection works, virus of the mind, simply spread by being communicated. To make people be obedient, she can undo spells like this and reverse engineer it. First, she can come up to you and examine it first to pull it out to really get a good algorithm of how it works, just so she can generate an antivirus. She's making her own antivirus so it can help, and even going as far as creating her own cure, technically. Yeah, the Enchantress is impressive. Without her shields up, she can withstand attacks that cause earthquakes and get back up, even if she's KO'd. Being hit by characters like Zod. She's highly in tune when it comes to magical artifacts or weapons of such. Even if she's supposedly blind, certain weapons she can perceive, like Katana's Soul Taker. And she has to be careful not to make a terrible imitation of Moone. In this particular occasion, it was actually 34 terrible imitations of her, causing bad stuff to happen. Her telekinesis is absurd, manipulating all these different beings to make like a giant-like figure of horror. Imagine being able to make a whole bunch of rotten teeth come together to fight Superman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg. And since it's magical and Superman and magic doesn't really mix, it can actually harm Superman. Yeah, witch's teeth hurting Superman, that's all wrong. Yeah, Wonder Woman. Tier 2. Magic people like this can't just go insane because inanimate objects that you would think are just normal day-to-day things start hurting you. Like showering books killing folks. Just take a look at the stuff that's going on. You got on 2 farms, cows give birth to mechanical meat slicers, 1 farmer shoots himself. And then right here we got the local power station threatens to explode when it is imbued with consciousness and just gets bored. Yeah, don't let a witch go mad. Look how catastrophic a town can look when she's, going mad. Yeah, her spells can get out of control even across the country to where it's like a plague. Like it just keeps on spreading and getting worse and worse. Children turning on their caregivers, knives, bottles, anything their tiny hands can grasp. How do you fight against children who want to kill you? How do you fight against innocence that has been polluted? You got people being corrupted by a song that comes from nowhere and everywhere in an endless loop, meaningless lyric. Tsunamis of computers happen, each monitor with the ghost face of a dead relative. Yeah, in Egypt, the Sphinx forgets the answer to its own riddle and attacks the line of tourists. Talk about horror movie. Oh, don't mind me, just another occasion of her shielding, of course. Magic type stuff like separating you from your host if she has to. Classic magic witchy type of stuff. Intangibility. She can even spread demonic viruses to computer-ish type stuff. She more than likely can use every element known to man, including ice, thunder, blah, blah, blah. And just like other magical beings in DC, she can stop time itself because they all notice that the timer stayed on 4 seconds. But it is noted she cannot keep time frozen forever, but that's still ridiculous. Did you know Deadshot tried to get buck with Enchantress? Of course Enchantress is too much for beings in this tier though, because she likes Killer Croc. That's funny. I mean, anybody that can telekinetically make a boat speed up because of telekinesis has to be respected, but you guys get the idea. Watch my Zatanna and other magic people on the channel. She's definitely high up there with the top magic users in DC. It's literally stated she can destroy the planet. Brute magic users or powerhouse magic users do this stuff effortlessly in DC. She was compared to characters like Zatanna, who can severely wound Superman tier beings and make them scream in agony like Lobo, and she's comparable to characters like Zatanna when it comes to raw magic power. No matter which continuity we're talking about, these magic users are in the same ballpark no matter what. That's just how she's written, clear writer intent. But quite honestly, if you've been on the channel long enough, you're probably not surprised on how she's so powerful because, you know, I've already done magic people in DC. She's comparable to Zatanna, for example. If you just watch my Zatanna video alone, you can understand why she's a beast, considering that she's comparable to her confirmed in this same video. Not to mention she fought Superman, and even beings that are not necessarily weak to magic, she can still completely incapacitate or harm completely. She has a lot of ways to attack you, can stop time itself, so if you try to blitz, that might not actually work. Yeah, magic people are just tricky. Can possess you, go in your head, telepathic type stuff, illusion, energy blast, elemental manipulation, just all kinds of stuff that you can't really predict, if we're being honest. She has decent super strength. Whatever super strength or durability she does lack, she can make shields to counter it even further. Not to mention in summoning, can technically summon help like other magicians and etc. Just a common theme that you got to respect when it comes to magicians in DC. Making large storms that plague the earth and things like I showed in this same video. It's just too much evidence of it. Making unnatural clones of herself to make a plague on the planet. Magical teeth to fight Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Superman at the same time. You have to respect Enchantress. What do you guys think though? That could be just me. But also, thanks for the donations, guys. I appreciate it a lot. Respect Enchantress. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.